Let's go.
And I've always found that my creativity is grounded in my spirituality, that it is one of the ways in which I live my spirituality. And coming to South Africa has forced me to engage with a particular aspect of spirituality that's not a part of my background, which is engagement with ancestors. As in Jamaica, the extent to which we practice African traditional religion is quite limited, and it's also looked down on. Africa, I've been told over and over again by Sangomas about my ancestors not being happy with me, of course, because I left Jamaica so unceremoniously, and there's things they want me to do, but there's also things they want me to do here, and I get so confused when we're trying to understand, having some really weird dreams and experiences, and having been told that part of why I suffer sometimes is because my ancestors are not happy with me. Like, what's your demanding? What must I do to appease all of you? Where must I turn to evade the burn? What must I say? Show me the way to stop me from falling, to answer your calling. What do you want? Why do you haunt me, invade my dreams with your self-serving schemes? Then your head is too hard. Let down your guard. Stop holding back with your panic attacks. Step out in your power. Now is the hour. We want nothing less than your absolute yes.
The law that we suited the case under. So a lot of people creative space currently where these things are not spoken about. But we said, this is the spaces that we enter. We go to these exhibitions, we get invited to these art fairs. You know, we don't know these work that are hanging around, who original makers of it are. We just go there, we have champagne and whatever, and we just smile at each other. But there's somebody behind this that's suffering, that their work is being taken and they don't know where to go.
As regarding Dr. Esther Mahlangu, since Melrose Arc is selling a lot of her works and claiming it's her latest works, what's your input, knowing what you know regarding Dr. Esther Mahlangu?
The three judgments, and then the leave to appeal will be the fourth judgment, but we know that it's going to make it to the Supreme Court of Appeal.
Thank you so much, and for representing women. And it is very, very important what you're talking about, because I'm working with the archives of the photojournalists, looking at trying to retrieve some of the images of the photojournalists during the apartheid. And a lot of them were belonging to publications like the Baileys. And now for me to get these archives and
women in South Africa have written about intersectionality. And I can think of no better intersectional theorist in South Africa than Miriam Clark. And that book, Muriel at Metropolitan, I always recommend it to people. I say, if you want to know what feminist thought in action looks like, read Muriel at Metropolitan. So this is what Muriel at Metropolitan is also about. That just because someone is a woman doesn't mean that they are committed to the same feminist struggles as you. So I'm glad that the Catholic nun was telling me that I may be inherent, but I'm also a feminist. And so you know examples of photographs that I have in my archives that should have been taken by women, but are not. When she says that we should all be feminists, she isn't just being provocative. She really does mean that women should be free to explore their humanity, right? And all of you, obviously, because this became a very trendy quote, she talks about how we teach girls to shrink themselves, to make themselves smaller. We say to girls, you can have ambitions, but not too much. You should aim to be successful, but not too successful. Otherwise, you don't be the man. End of quote. She could have, of course, have added, We teach girls that being a feminist will make you unhappy. By turning the ambitions and desires of women into a burden and a chore, we are once again saying that being a woman is about suffering, that it is about persevering against the odds. We teach girls that every day should be a struggle against a male-dominated world, and by doing that, we are also teaching them that at some point they will lose that struggle. We say to girls, you can't have everything. And people like saying this to me all the time. Or we tell them that having a career comes at the cost of motherhood and family. I can go on about how much we teach young girls about feminism and about what it means to be a woman, but I'm not trying to suggest that feminism is not about struggle and politics and patriarchy. What I'm trying to say is that beyond the sweat and tears, beyond the battles and the slogans, feminism is also about women just being themselves. I'm going to try to convince you that feminism without joy is the real struggle. Being a young woman, however you classify a young woman, doesn't mean that you are right. As I grow older, I experience a lot of this feminist ageism. Feminism has no age restriction. Feminism has no expiry date. And some of you may be shocked when I tell you that my grandfather was a feminist. And the reason why I tell you that my grandfather was a feminist is that my grandfather used to tell his daughters when he was raising them, he used to say, you must have your own property. You must have your own money. You will not depend on me. Tears in my eyes, and I had rage, like I was ready to punch someone in the face. When I would come to work, I would see Zora Neale Hurston there, and I would say, if she could survive it, I can survive it. I can fight this fight, right? Her unpublished works keep appearing and being resurrected, and this means that she remains relevant even though she died in 1960. For those of you who haven't read that book, Rakozy, it's amazing, because she went in search of the last group of Africans to basically be, quote unquote, brought on a slave ship in America. And she went in search. They had been basically dumped, if I can put it that way. They were offloaded the ship and dumped at where the ship was, and they had essentially created their own community. And she went and she interviewed these Africans who still sort of were in between. They were like in a liminal state between being in Africa and being in America. So they had adopted American culture, a little bit of American culture, but they still remembered Africa. And so she went and she interviewed them, and it was never published. And I think this was published about 4 or 5 years ago. So just a beautiful, beautiful research, beautiful writing. So for those of you who speak isiZulu, you will know the expression "Impangele enhle ekhala igijima." So the beautiful guinea fowl raises the alarm while it runs. And what this means for me, so isiZulu for me is full of feminist expressions, but we can talk about that later. So most of these things are patriarchal culture, people talk about patriarchal, it's full of feminist wisdom. It means that as a feminist, you can be more than one thing at once. You don't have to be like, oh, my struggle is gender equality in photography, therefore all the other areas of feminist struggle don't concern me. And it also doesn't mean that as feminists, we must fight amongst each other.